Good evening, everybody. This is Pat Webb, Virginia Citizens Defense League, and I have Christy Horton here with me tonight. Hi, Christy.
Hello.
So, Christy, for the third year now, I think it is the person who coordinates all of our team leaders, and she wanted to come on and give people kind of a description of what it's like to be on a team and what a team leader does. So, Christy, go ahead and let everybody know.
Well, the first thing that we're recruiting for is team leaders. And if we have 100 delegates and 40 senators. So if we have 20 team leaders, that means each team leader will schedule appointments with 7 legislators that I will assign them. And what happens is that person will then escort other VCDL members who are their team members to those legislators' offices to discuss pending legislation, general concerns about gun rights or gun restrictions, and just to kind of let legislators know, like, hi, I'm a Virginian, and how this affects me. Um, as a team leader, a lot of people get really scared of that title. You're really facilitating communication between your team members and the legislators. Your main two responsibilities are make the appointments, guide your team to those appointments, and give your team members a chance to speak with the legislators. Also, giving the legislators the VCDL packet, which you will pick up at the conference room earlier that day. Um, those are really the main responsibilities. And also keeping some notes so that if we need to follow up, if we need to provide additional information to any of the legislators, if there are questions or issues that arise that legislators raise that we need to follow up on, those are also things we want team leaders to let us know about. But those are the main responsibilities of a team leader. You don't have a whole lot of, you don't have to be a speech giver. You don't have to write a speech. You don't have to make a speech. You don't even really have to talk that much if you're not a talker, but you do need to make sure that your team members get to talk to their legislators. And so that's really the main role of a team leader. Something that's a little bit different this year is I'm recruiting for some additional roles because I do not know what my availability is for the next couple of years. And so I want to make sure that I have plenty of time to train the next team coordinator for VCDL. And so I would like to have some volunteers who help me out in the conference room and who help out other members as they're arriving, as they're trying to find, hey, where's the team that's going to meet with my legislator? Because it was snowing and I'm here later. And so the team's already in the building. And so I need some help with some additional volunteers who are willing to take on a role that, where you may not get to see as many legislators, but you can help other people find and join up with VCDL teams. And so we've listed some roles in the VA alert that we're also recruiting for this year because it takes more than one person to make lobby day and the teams go. And so those are some additional things. So if maybe you're not an extrovert and you really, really, really want to have a supporting role, but you don't really feel comfortable being a team leader, or maybe you're new to lobby day and you kind of want to know how it works. These might be some additional ways you can volunteer and help out and make a contribution while you gain your confidence in what we do on lobby day.
So, Christy, what can people expect when they join a team on lobby day? Will they be seeing their own representatives, or how does that work?
So each team is assigned to various representatives. Now, because of the way we make the assignments, there may be 2 different teams seeing your senator and your delegate. So what you would do is you would join a team that's going to visit either your senator or your delegate. And that way you would get to meet with your senator or your delegate with a team. The And then you can definitely go. We do want you to go see both your senator and your delegate. Um, but you would try to pick a team that's going to go see at least one of yours. Occasionally, we're able to do the teams so that they see both, but it doesn't always work out that way.
So when I was a team leader, and by the way, the first time I ever came to Lobby Day, they were short on team leaders. Somebody had not shown up. Well, several people had not shown up that day. And Dennis O'Connor, who was then the secretary of ECDL, asked me, was I willing to be a team leader? And I said, well, what do I have to do? And he said, you have to visit these offices, you have to hand out these packages, and you take a bunch of people with you. And if you feel like talking about a bill or an issue, you can talk about it, or you can let the people in your group talk about it. And so the very first year I ever went to Lobby Day, I was a team leader. I had never been on a team before. That's how easy it is, really. We do like people to take notes, but if you're not on a team that is visiting with your senator or your delegate, don't worry, because you will have the opportunity to visit your senator and delegate, and B, by having these teams and the assigned offices, we make sure that every single senator and every single delegate gets one of the packages and gets a visit from a VCDL team. Frequently, the team leaders will, after they visit their assigned offices, they will go and visit some of the offices that people in their group um, are constituents of. So several times the senators and delegates will get more than one visit from a VCDL team, which is fine. But the point is, we want to make sure that every single senator and every single delegate gets a visit from VCDL and knows that whether or not there's a constituent in that team, we represent every single district in the state.
Yes, and Pat, you're definitely the better person than me to talk about like the demographics and how many members we have across the state and how I don't know if we even have a breakdown of how many members in each district or anything like that, but we have so many, not just we have so many members, but there's even more gun owners in
Mm-hmm.
Virginia. And that's the fact that there are so many gun owners in Virginia means that our legislators should really be making different laws than what they have been. Um,
Absolutely. And
and so,
I see a comment here from Bandit 848.
yeah.
Um, and he says, I know it's early, but has any legislation been proposed that we want to speak on, either for or against? So, yes, it is very early, and the bills are just now starting to trickle in. Watch the VA alert and watch the legislative tracker on the website, which will be up very soon. And the legislative tracker is really cool because it links to the actual bill on the legislative website. And so you can see where it is in the process, what committee it's been assigned to, when it's up for a hearing, when that will be. Any changes to the bill will be posted there. And all through the process, we will be keeping you informed through the VA alert. So if you're not getting the VA alert, if you have subscribed in the past, we've had some people that Gmail especially, but Gmail, Yahoo, and AOL have blocked some of our emails. So if you used to get it and you're not getting it now, contact us and we'll work through figuring out what's going on, or set up another email so that you can get the notices, because they will be really important to stay in touch with. Um, if you are not getting them, you can also go to the VA alert page on our website, and see anything that you may have missed there. All of the alerts are listed on there. I see Michael Dalton is with us tonight. Uh, Michael is somebody that's been very active in VCDL and always comments on our live stream. So welcome. We hope to see you at Lobby Day. Also, a couple of things to know. Let me see if I can find the right screen here. On the screen, you will see a map. Where the red star is on the map, that's where teams will form up anywhere between there and that's Ninth and Bank. And so that block between Ninth and Bank and 10th and Bank is where the teams will be forming up. And then they will enter at 10th and Bank. There is an entrance right there, and there's tunnels that go through to the General Assembly building. So people that have restricted mobility, it's all handicap friendly, easier to get around than the old building was. The blue star on the map is the conference room where the team leads will pick up their packets. The yellow star on the map is at the bell tower. That's where the rally will be from 10 to 11. And that green line is the border outside of the defense-free zone for those that do not want to leave their carry items behind. There will be a bus, and there will be an email coming out very soon showing where that bus will be. I believe it will be in the same place as last year, and I'm going to make that map just a little bit bigger. But Brandon Howard has the bus again so that you can check your carry items and go in and lobby and then come back and pick them up. He did have to increase the fee to $20 this year. There is a page on our website where you can make your reservation. Very good service that he offers. Several people took advantage of it last year. Do you have anything else to add to that, Christy?
I did. If I remember right, Brandon does have coffee for the first few people who check their firearms.
I think so.
Being a chilly morning, that might be another incentive to take advantage of that service. And
Mm-hmm.
he also, I believe, that 8th Street location, that's near where the buses arrive as well. Am I?
I think so. So the buses actually this year, unless Richmond Police Department changes it, the buses are going to come in on Bank Street, and they will drop people off on Bank Street at 10th Street, and then they'll turn left on 10th Street and go down to Main Street. But when you get back on the bus to go home, you will get on the bus at 10th and Main, not 10th and Bank. So they will be letting people off right by that Capitol entrance so that anybody that is handicapped, they don't have to walk up any hills or navigate any hills. And it's just a slight downhill slope from down 10th to Main Street there.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different in the bus drop off point at this year from last year, unless they change it. I have not heard differently yet. So there's still a couple weeks left, so things can be subject to change.
Yes. I'm looking over like some of my notes that I had for this evening. And those of you who do volunteer, I do have a full like PowerPoint presentation that has a lot of information consolidated in one place for team members and team leaders. And we will post that and make a link available to you for that. I'm just taking a look at that and just to see if there's anything else. Um, let's talk about. Are we ready to talk about kind of the schedule for the day, Pat?
Sure, we can do that. The teams will start forming around 8 a.m. The buses should all be arriving shortly before 8 o'clock. And the rally is from 10 to 11. And then anybody that rode the buses will be departing at 1 p.m. So you'll have time to grab some lunch, go back in and visit with your senator or delegate and any of the offices that you missed. The reason that we try to get our lobbying done in the morning is because around noon they go to caucus and then they start having committee meetings. So we try to hit that 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. window before the committee meetings and before the rally, of course. And then the vast majority of the senators and delegates are in their offices. So that's why we schedule things the way they do. The afternoons are everybody's either in committee or caucus or something like that. Um,
As
there will be a lobby day dinner for those people who are coming the night before. If you come up Sunday and spend the night in a hotel so that you don't have to drive and get there early Monday morning, um, we will be having dinner at the same restaurant that we had it last year. The reservations have already been made. There's a page on our website where you can let us know that you're attending the dinner. We do like to let the restaurant know around how many people will be coming. And I put in the chat box there the link where you can find all the links. It's pretty easy, vcdl.org/lobby day. And from there, you can find links to the legislative agenda once it's, well, the legislative agenda is up, but the legislative tracking tool will be up there once it's live. The lobby day dinner link is there. The travel link is there. There's a carpool link on the travel page. There's a bus reservation link on the travel page. There's a link as to how the legislative system works. Lots and lots of answers on that one page. So please feel free to check it out. And if there's something that you can't find, you can email us. We do need team leaders. Christy, you said you had 10 right now.
I have 10
And
right now.
and we really need a minimum of 20 so that
Minimum.
there's
Yeah.
not a big load on any one team.
Yeah.
So ideally 25, because
Yes.
then if somebody doesn't show up, I mean, somebody could get sick or whatever, but it just spreads the load out, and then you have more time to spend with each senator or delegate. So, Christy, what happens if the senator or delegate is unavailable? Is their aid just as good?
It, if they're not available, and now that's why it's important to make appointments. Like we've already heard from some legislators that hey, it's really important to make an appointment and book your appointment as soon as possible. So those of you who had already volunteered before today, you're going to be getting your legislator assignments today, this evening after this meeting. I'll be sending you your assignments. I don't know if their receptionists are in their capital office yet, but you can certainly try and start calling. Some of them are, some may not be until session starts on January 8th. But I can at least get you started. There are three legislators, two delegates, and a senator. We don't know who they're going to be yet because the people who were in those positions have been elected to federal congressional office.
Right.
So there's going to be three that we don't know who that person's going to be yet. And some of them, their election will have just taken place the week before lobby day. So they may not actually be available yet. Um, and so I will be coaching some of you through what can we do in that situation. Um, but yes, if you can't see the legislator, their aides will take notes. They will see you. They should see you, listen to you, and take notes. I had one, my own delegate last year would not see me, and his aides did not see me. His chief of staff acted like she wanted to spit on me when I finally scheduled a Zoom conference with them. So very hostile to our cause. But yeah,
But
I mean, usually you can you can meet with the aide if you cannot meet with the delegate or senator. I know I've sent messages to my delegate and senator ahead of time saying, hey, this is a historic day. This has been a day where Virginians visit the Capitol every year as long as I can remember. And it is important for you to make time for your constituents who drive all the way to Richmond this day to see you and to meet with you and to observe the process and to be a part of it. And so if you don't have like if it's not your if it's not a session, if it's not your caucus, if it's not your committee meeting, you need to make time to be there, and you need to be flexible so that when your own constituents show up, you can take 5 minutes and see them face to face.
Absolutely. So that's another thing when you're a team leader and you go to an office or you go to make an appointment with an office and they say, will you have any constituents? When you're making the appointment, you can say, I may or may not have constituents, but I represent constituents from your district because we have members in all of the districts of the state. Our members are all over the state. So, whether or not there is an actual constituent in that group, we represent people that are your constituents. And there is a form that people can fill out, and I will have Philip resend the link in another VA alert. If you can't make it to lobby day, or even if you can make it to lobby day, but you don't know for sure what team you're going to be on, it is asking your senator and your delegate to please see the VCDL team and know that they represent you, a constituent. And it's a pre-filled out thing. You just type in your name and address and it automatically gets your senator and your delegate, and you can change the message if you like or just send it as it is.
Yeah. I mean, furthermore, like I remind them that, even if I'm not your constituent, I live in Virginia and the laws you make, they apply to me just as much as your constituents. So you might want to hear what I have to say, um, even though I may not be in your district.
Right.
I've got a lot of friends and neighbors in your district. So like,
Mm-hmm.
let's, um, let's do the best we can to meet. Now, and just be aware too, like there are some legislators that want to be so available that they say, I'm going to be here all day as much as I can. And, so they don't schedule appointments. They just say, hey, stop by whenever. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
when that happens, that's great that you have flexibility. But as a team leader, other VCDL members, especially those who may be late because they got caught in the snow, the buses were late, something happened, there was an accident, so they're going to need to know when to meet, when you're going to be where, and then you're going to keep me apprised of your appointment schedule as well. So even if they say, hey, just stop by whenever, try to come up with a time that you're going to go to each legislator so that their constituents can meet you there as well.
Yes. And there was something else that I was going to bring up, and it escapes me right now. Um, let's see.
While you're thinking of it, I'll raise another couple of things. There are, like, I noticed last year the committee meeting schedules. There were committee meetings in the mornings sometimes. There also are some legislators, which we expect, who are hostile to our cause, who will make it a point to not be in the building until after our rally is over. And so they will try really hard not to see us. One embarrassed himself one year because a VCDL team met with his staff, and later that day, on lobby day, or the next day, he posted something about not having heard from any gun owners about anything. And I was like, no, no. I remember a group of people went to your office and talked with your staff at this time on this day. So you might want to talk with your staff if you haven't followed up with them on yesterday's visits yet, because you certainly heard from gun owners yesterday who opposed your
Absolutely.
legislation.
Absolutely. And the You had mentioned the special elections that
Yeah.
we have coming. So one of them is my district, the 10th district, Senate district, and John McGuire got elected to Congress. So um, all of the special elections are on the 7th of January. It's really, really important if you are in one of the three districts that's holding the special elections that you get to the polls and vote. Special elections are very light turnouts. And if we hold the 10th district seat and we flip the House seat and Senate seat up in Loudoun County that are having their special elections, then we have a tie in both the House and the Senate. Now, a tie in the Senate means that Winsome Sears, the lieutenant governor, gets the tie breaking vote. And a tie in the House means shared power, which means that all of the committees then are now 50-50 instead of the stacked committees. And we may actually be able to get something out of committee and to the floor for a vote. So we could actually make some major accomplishments this year if we flip those two Loudon seats to pro rights seats and hold the seat in the 10th district. So, very, very important if you are in one of those districts with the special elections that you get up to the polls and vote. And, John, I will look that up for you. So, Christy, if there's something else that you want to bring up.
Um, I one of there's a few things I want to raise. This year, different from most years. Every year Lobby Day is on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and this is one of those ways, like, we put into action what we learned from him. We put into action, civil rights advocacy. This is a civil right. Um, he was denied a gun permit even after they blew up his house. And so this is definitely one of the ways we can honor his memory. One thing, though, that's different this year is that it is also the US president's inauguration day. I don't know how that will affect the turnout. And I don't know if that might mean that some of our state legislators head up to DC for inauguration to represent Virginia. So those are some other things to be aware of. And that means that those of us in the Northern Virginia area may run into increased traffic or other difficulties in getting out that morning. So be aware, like, we have buses running from Northern Virginia. So that's something to think about for those of you who are in Northern Virginia, where I live, where we could see increased traffic trying to get to Richmond that morning. It's okay to sign, like, I mean, register for the bus. It's the best way to go. You don't have to drive. You don't have to
Mhm.
park. You can check your gun with Brandon Howard and at the gun check service. Um, I mean, you don't have to drive back. The buses do leave at 1. So that's something to keep in mind for team leaders. Buses will arrive around 8, and that's if we don't have inclement weather, traffic, accidents. So keep in mind that the folks who ride the buses, are going to arrive at 8 a.m. The buses leave at 1 p.m. So that's something to keep in mind when scheduling your appointments. Now, some legislators are so busy that the best time you're going to be able to meet with them is between 7 and 8 a.m. or after 1 or 2 p.m. I've definitely had legislators schedule with me for early morning or late in the day. And so if that's what you can do, that's what you can do. That's the appointment we can get to make sure somebody from VCDL gets face to face with them. But try to schedule your appointments between 8 and 10 or 11 and 1. The rally is at 10, which breaks up the time we have to lobby. Um, I know I had legislators, the only appointment they would give me was during the rally. Thinking they did that. I'm sure they did that thinking I wouldn't show, but I did. I'm a little bit annoying like that. So I was like, hey, the rally's going for an hour. I'll take 15 minutes and make sure I'll remove ignorance as an excuse.
And,
Just to
you
let you know.
know, it's really, really important, even on the years where we don't expect to get a lot accomplished. It's extremely important that we show up every single year, whether we are being the thorn in the side or being the pat on the back because we know the legislators are doing the right thing. Both are equally important. So, I hear people say, well, my senator or my delegate always votes wrong, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. But, like Christy pointed out, if you don't show up, then they can say, well, I didn't hear from anybody on your side. So we need to make sure that they hear from lots of people
Yeah.
on the side of
Yeah.
freedom. And
Well,
I posted the links to the special elections in the chat. It is Senate District 32, which is part of Loudoun County, House District 26, which is also part of Loudoun County, and Senate District 10, which covers all or part of 11 counties in central Virginia. It's a huge district. So the link is in the chat box there. You can click on that and see if you are covered by that. Um, the details should be up on where to vote on the state board of elections. So another option, rather than riding the bus, is to come early,
mhm.
come Sunday, and spend the night. You can join us for the lobby day dinner Sunday night, and then get up fresh Monday morning and lobby, and then go home. The lobby day travel page has a link to hotels in the area. It also has a link to restaurants if you want to grab lunch after you finish your lobbying and the rally and everything like that. Um, Bandit 848 says it may be worth an emergency broadcast when the details become more clear. We will have a live stream again on the second Sunday in January. That is our regular live stream. So that is the 12th. We will have an in person meeting in Richmond on the 16th, I believe, which is the third Thursday. So if you are in the Richmond area, you can join that, and there will be a VA alert coming out with all of the details on that as well. And again, if you have any questions at all about Lobby Day, go to vcdl.org/Lobby Day, and you'll find all the things there. So, do we have any questions in the chat that we did not answer?
Uh,
So, one of the things that we want to do, and Bandit was kind of alluding to that, if your senator or your delegate is somebody that does vote the right way, and especially if they are somebody that carries bills, puts in good bills, give them a call or go by their office and say, hey, I really appreciate this. I appreciate you fighting for our rights. Everybody needs a pat on the back sometimes. Yeah, it's what they should do and it's the right thing to do, but it's always good to get an attaboy or an attagirl and know that there are people that A, have your back, and B, appreciate what you're doing. So it's just as important to say thank you as it is to reach out to the people that are voting the wrong way.
Yeah, and I mean, some of our legislators really do get torn up, and some of them in committees, some of them on the floor, like they really do. Some of them come from districts where gun rights and gun grabbers are are about half and half. So they really struggle over these decisions. They need as much encouragement from us as possible. They also need us to show up. I
Hmm.
mean, it's really awesome when we go on lobby day and we see that sea of orange stickers. Now, we have to be careful because there is another organization that I ran into last year who is wearing bright orange, and they are not. They're probably not with us. Um, but but those guns save lives stickers, not only are they great for legislators to see, I've had really great conversations with total strangers who had no idea that guns were a good thing, that guns
Hmm.
prevent crime,
Right.
that because of gun owners, we in the United States 266 million times a year, guns, just the presence of them sometimes, avert crime, avert violence. So there's a lot of people
Yes.
who don't know that. So when we wear a sticker that says "Guns Save Lives," and we run into people who are there to advocate for various health issues or parental rights or affordable housing, or I've run into people advocating for all sorts of things on that same day, and they see my sticker, they're like, guns save lives? How? And so then I can start telling them, well, first of all, this is how it saved my life. But second, you know, all of the research studies, statistics, what we know about guns and the people, most of the people who own them, is that they reduce crime. Just the
Absolutely.
presence, will make somebody think twice about acting out in violence. And so
Hmm.
this is really, really important. If you want to lower the crime rate, you empower the people who are law abiding, peaceful people.
Yes. I heard somewhere a statistic that said for every time a gun is used in a crime, it's used 18 times to stop a crime.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. So, and the vast majority of those, no shots are fired.
Mhm. Right.
So, the lawful gun owners, responsible gun owners, are one of the most law-abiding, kind groups of people, and I'm really proud to be a part of this community. Excellent community, and it's really important that we educate our children on the importance of this right, and b show them by example how we defend this right. And a big part of that is showing up for lobby day and then participating in the committee meetings, which, by the way, every single room, every single committee room in the new General Assembly building now has live stream feeds.
Yeah.
So you can watch the committee meetings and testify in the committee meetings by your computer. You just all you need is a computer with a camera and a microphone, and you can testify virtually. And it's better being there, but if you can't be there, I know we have people all over the state, and traveling to Richmond is not possible, especially with 24-hour notice. So sign up, watch the VA alerts, sign up to testify. And even if you just say, I support the bill or I oppose the bill, that's all you have to say. You don't have to give necessarily reasons. And when you go to lobby, if you do want to speak to the person, the senator or the delegate or the aide, pick a subject that you are passionate about. Pick one of the bills that touches you personally and relate that personal story to them. This affects me in this way, and this is why I really care about this bill. Personal stories really hit home. So if you have something that you can speak from the heart on, that is the best way to communicate with the senator or the delegate. The other thing that is really effective is when you find some common ground. Look around their office. Do they have pictures of their garden? Do they have kids? Do they have horses? Do they fish?
Yeah.
That they will have things in their office that give you clues what their interests are. And if that's something that also interests you, you can start the conversation by saying, "Hey, you play golf, or I see you went deep sea fishing. That's one of my hobbies is fishing. I like to fish for blah blah blah." And start a conversation that way and become a person to them, not just some gun nut that is there pestering them. And it makes it harder for them to disagree when they find that they like you because you're a nice guy or a nice woman.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it definitely helps. You catch more flies with honey. It definitely
mhm,
helps to be kind because they already want to paint gun owners as violent, nasty people or rednecks or whatever stereotype they have in their head. And when we come dressed somewhat professionally, or at least, business casual or clean clothes, and don't come in your, grungy overalls.
mhm,
Like, um, when you show up and you make an intelligent conversation, you find common ground with them. We are very kind, we're very aware of the rules. We do better at following rules than, as a population, concealed carry permit holders um, are better rule followers than the police. We do better at not having issues where we're hitting bystanders.
right.
And so the statistics there are in our favor, and we need these people to know that we are real people. Gun
Mhm,
owners are not a figment of their imagination. We're real. We are normal people,
mhm,
and we have legitimate concerns and reasons for owning firearms and for doing what we do. And it might be for self defense. It might be for sports shooting. It might be for hunting. We all have a variety of reasons why we are gun owners, and it's good for them to know the full range of that.
right.
Um, and it's really important for them to just hear the human side, like, hey, this is why we do this. It's
Mhm,
not because we're just like fanatics about this machine, or this piece of or this tool. It's not about the tool, it's about the people. I want to protect my family, I want to feed my family. I'm a really good shot, and this is a sport that I do well, and so I want to practice it freely without having so many barriers. It was really awesome when the U.S. Olympic teams did really well this year in shooting events. And so I was posting that, and even sending some of those articles to our legislators who are typically hostile to guns. And I was like, okay, if you try to get rid of all these guns in the United States, we're going to lose at the Olympics. We're not going to be able to practice these sports. We're not going to be able to do these things. So um, it's really important to let them know, like, we're real human beings. We're actually nice people. We're likable. Um, it would be good for them to serve us instead of somebody else's political agenda. Um, and so that's why we show up in person. Now there are some people who may not be able to show up in person. Like in the past, like snow got dumped on us the night before. It was icy that morning. Some people they couldn't come. Um, Ever since COVID, our legislators have the ability to schedule Zoom meetings, and you may be able to schedule a Zoom appointment. Um, and I've even done that, following up with them after lobby day, knowing that a really important bill was coming up in their committee. I reached out to my delegate and my senator and said, hey, you're going to have the bill in front of you in a committee in a couple of days. I really want to talk to you about that. Can we schedule a virtual meeting? And it usually works. I can get 5 minutes at least. So, I mean, lobby day is just the beginning of what we do. The session goes
absolutely.
through March. So, lobby day is just the start. And so it's great to be writing your legislators in addition to your visit on lobby day. But it's really helpful if they can put a face to that person who's writing them emails.
Absolutely. They should know you by name. They should see your face and know your name. And if not, then you're not doing something right. We have a government by the people, of the people, and for the people. But that only works if we, the people, get involved and stay involved in the governmental process. And yes, it's a chore. Yes, it may mean missing a TV show or something like that. But it is important not only for our situation, but for our kids and our grandkids. So, what legacy are we leaving them if we sit back and do nothing? We
Right.
saw how Virginia, whom we at one time, a lot of people thought there could never be gun control in Virginia, but then we had a bad election and we had major gun control and we had bills passed that were directed directly at VCDL members that prohibited carry in state buildings and prohibited carry in Capitol Square. All of that, make no mistake about it, all of that was meant to keep us from showing up for Lobby Day. So if you sit there and say, I'm not going because I can't defend myself there, then you are playing into their hands. And if if enough people have that attitude, we have no chance at repealing those stupid laws. We need a good showing and we need to keep the pressure on and we need to show up for all of these elections to get the balance of power back to where we can repeal those dangerous laws and reinstate freedom in our state capital.
Yeah.
So I'm making a personal plea to you to show up for Lobby Day, to share this video with your friends. If you can sign up to be a team leader, we need at least 10, preferably 15 more team leaders. And we need hundreds and hundreds, we really need thousands of people to show up on January 20th. And we need people to show up at these committee meetings, whether it be in person or virtually. So I'm asking you to make the commitment to participate as much as you possibly can, and let's get this ship turned around.
Yeah, and for those of us, like I hear a lot of people make comments about, oh, those people in Northern Virginia. Well, I live in Northern Virginia. I'm clearly a pro gun rights person. I have a lot of neighbors who are with us. Our legislators from Northern Virginia are not friendly to our cause. We know it. We know they don't listen to us. We'd like to have enough of us up there to vote them out. And it's the demographics in Northern Virginia are changing. However, gradually they are changing. I think my entire street right now is pro gun. So I want to encourage you, like on behalf of those of us from Northern Virginia who know that our legislators are going to be hostile to our cause, they're going to ignore everything we tell them, and they're going to vote badly. I need us to show up for all the other legislators that can be influenced or who need our encouragement. They need to know we are behind them. They have our vote as long as they protect our gun rights. And they really need to see us, and they need to see us in numbers, because their perception of the commitment of constituents, especially voters, to the cause, um, is going to be measured by how much orange they see on Lobby
Mm-hmm.
Day. They need to know there's lots of us. We're nice, normal people. We clean up after ourselves better than any other group does. Um, we're also, even in our worst attended years, I think we're still one of the biggest groups they see, but we need to make that overwhelming.
Yes.
They need to see overwhelming amounts of orange. They need us to fill up the bell tower area for the rally so full that it is packed shoulder to shoulder, and we all stay warm just because there's so many of us.
Yep. Absolutely. And if enough people show up, then the anti-gun factions will know that that is a third rail that they dare not touch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look at 2020. People say, well, we lost ground in 2020. But if you look at the legislation that they had proposed in 2020 and how quickly they backed down
Mm-hmm.
when the masses showed up, it was like the hottest hot potato you ever saw in your life. It was nuclear bomb hot. So the little bit of legislation that actually did pass was minuscule compared to the bills that were proposed.
Yeah. And,
So,
yes. And the ones that passed were seriously gutted from
uh-huh.
proposed. So that, I mean, we're still living the consequences of that. So we definitely need to do better come this coming year's elections. And that's another reason we need to show up this year because we have elections coming up for our General Assembly.
So
Um,
Bandit 2020 was the year that in excess of 50,000 people converged in Richmond. And there were people from all over the country because the bills that were proposed were so egregious. The whole nation and people all over the world stood up and said, whoa, what is going on in Virginia? And it was it was almost a religious experience. And one of the stories that came from that day, that's one of my favorites. We received an email after the rally, after the 2020 event, Lobby Day, from a reporter who had been assigned to cover the event. And she said that when she found out her assignment, she was petrified and she didn't want to come, but her news force made her attend the event and cover it. But when she left, she said she had never felt safer and more welcome in her entire life as being among the 50,000 people that showed up for Lobby Day. And I want to personally thank everyone that showed up. I want to thank all of the people that willingly disarmed to go inside the cage for the rally and the photo op. And I want to thank all of the people who stood outside the cage, standing guard, making it possible for those people to safely go in the cage. And I know that there were at least as many, if not twice as many, who did not show up because of the media hype that scared them off. I personally know a couple dozen people locally that chickened out of going
mhm.
because they were afraid that there was going to be violence. And the people that went were so glad. One of my neighbors, my husband, dragged him down there, and he wasn't going to go because he was scared. But my husband said, "Get in the car, we're going down there." And to this day, he still talks about the experience that he had, and he is so glad that he went. So thank you to all of the VCDL freedom fighters that show up for Lobby Day every single year. And let's show up this year and make it worth the effort. Let's get something done in Virginia. So if you're in the two districts, the House and the Senate district in Loudoun, and if you're in the 10th district, get out for that special election in January and vote. If you're able to be a Lobby Day team lead, put the link in the chat several times. So, I just lost Christy. I put the link in the chat several times. Click that link and sign up to be a team lead. We need 10 to 15 more team leads. Sign up for the bus. There she is.
Okay.
Sign up for the bus if you need a ride. We have buses coming from Roanoke to Lynchburg to Charlottesville and in. We have one coming from Loudoun to Fairfax, down through Springfield and Fredericksburg and in. And then we have one from Norfolk, Newport News, Chesapeake, coming in from the Tidewater area. So I think that's about all that we have to cover tonight, and we've been on here for about an hour. Catch us again on the second Sunday of January. Philip and I will be on with uh, Jill McDaniel, excuse me, and we'll be talking. We'll have some more updates about Lobby Day. Christy, do you have any closing remarks?
Those of you who have already reached out to me or who have already filled out the form, you will be getting your legislator assignments this evening.
Okay.
If you are interested and have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address, I'm using a new email address this year, folks. Pay attention. It is VCDL Lobby Day, all one word, at pm.me. Um, in response to some difficulties I had last year, both with with Gmail and other things, I set up a separate email just for this, so emails will not get lost. I am getting ready to share like the whole planning day document with team leaders like I did last year, so you all can fill in your appointment times on a spreadsheet for me, and that's so I can help people find you that day. Um, and I will, those of you who've already signed up or those of you who volunteer in the future, um, you will get your assignment and some more instructions, as well as a PowerPoint that I prepared with some additional information. If you have time, some things you can study up on that kind of counter some of the myths associated with gun control legislation or guns themselves. Some responses that you can offer to our legislators who may be misinformed. Um,
Yep.
and some really good sources of reading to keep up in general, and also learn about like the history of why we have in Virginia, we have Article 1, Section 13 in the U.S. Constitution. It's the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. But why do we have it? How did it come about? What is it really about? It's not about hunting. It's not even about self-defense. And yet it is. I have some additional information for you there, just some really good sources that just counter all of these things. I've seen people post things like, if only we knew what the founding fathers meant by the Second Amendment. And I'm like, we do. Here, go read
it's
this.
it's pretty clear.
Yeah,
Yes.
they did not mince their words. And folks, they debated these issues at length.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we have the text of those debates, especially the Virginia ratifying convention. The Virginia
Mm-hmm.
Constitution and our gun rights here in Virginia actually predates the US Constitution and the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was largely based um, off of the Virginia's Constitution. So we are in a state that understands this issue, or at least it did historically. And folks, and here's the thing, please do not make political stereotypes. Virginia was Democrat for a long time, and yet it was a very pro gun state. So don't assume that Democrats are always going to be against us, because it hasn't been that way in Virginia. So, I mean, please, we don't want to stereotype them any more than they do us. And don't and I don't want to, I really don't want people to be discouraged, just because we happen to be, there are definitely a lot of hostile people to our cause, but I think that some of them are able to be influenced, and I think that us showing up and showing them that gun owners are not the stereotypical group of people that they thought we were.
Yep.
I think that makes a big difference. It also makes a big difference for them to know that, hey, there's a lot of us, and we don't like what you're doing, and this is not helping. You know, you're actually hurting more than helping, and we need you to do, instead of doing this, do this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So, and I'll leave you with one parting thought: the road that is easily traveled is seldom worth traveling. The road that is a hard road, often, more often than not, leads to the greater reward, the greater sense of accomplishment, and is the road that is worth taking. So, thank you guys for joining us, guys and gals, for joining us tonight. Please share this video with your friends. Ask them to listen to it on their commute to work in the morning. Join us in 2 weeks for the normal Sunday live stream from VCDL, and we look forward to seeing you at Lobby Day. So have a great night and goodbye. We'll see you on the next one. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.